Hey everyone, this is Precise Language. So, today I wanted to talk a little bit about the It's Okay to Be White signs that have been posted around. Very interesting subject, something I'm very curious about. So, on 4chan, what happened was there was a post from a Canadian user encouraging people on Halloween to go post signs that say it's okay to be white. Now, what I really like about what was done is the at the very end you can see it says the important reminders to ignore anyone advocating criminal activity, vandalism, etc. These are shills trying to ruin our operation. It is pointless, most importantly bad PR, to do anything illegal. The point is to have the maximum contrast between how evil the media portrays these posters and how clearly benign they are to the normies. Do not alter the poster. Uniformity is key. It will have the biggest impact. A watermark or URL is not to be added. So basically, they were saying, don't do anything illegal, and I appreciate that. So it was more about just putting the posters up and putting that message out. Now, what was really interesting is that not a lot of people on YouTube have been replying to it in such the way that they assumed they would. However, the media, all the major news stations definitely have been making it into a huge thing. They've been getting around interviews from people and trying to start something up. So I do have an interview. Now, I believe this interview was done by a college student to another college student. We'll go ahead and watch that now, and then I'll talk about it.
What it was like to see. So I was literally like walking to the LBC. I was getting a bagel. I have a test today. I had a pretty rough night last night. So coming this morning was very heavy already. And then I was opening the door and I saw the sign. And as if that like wasn't another confirmation that I needed that I don't belong on this campus. It's just like I felt it like for the past like year that I have been here, and no one's explicitly said it, and that was the first explicit thing that I have seen that really like told me you shouldn't be here. I struggle with, I think our campus and our society tells us as people of color that it's not okay to be people of color. So to see a confirmation or to see a piece of paper that says it's okay to be white is just, it's not okay to be a person of color, but it's okay to be white, you know, like.
Now, before I hit on the points of that interview, I want to go over some of the liberal views of why see this as a negative event. The biggest argument that I've been able to find is that it's all about the intent behind the message. So there are 2 points that I can find in this argument. The first one is that this is a message of it's bad because it claims whiteness is under attack. And it gives the message that others should stop bringing up racism because it makes people uncomfortable to be on the end that benefits from racism. And those who benefit from racism don't want to feel responsible. And so they put up these signs and they're trying to say, get off our back. And it's a silly message because, you know, white people aren't under attack. And that's a very common liberal ideology to some extent, that people who are white aren't held back in life because of the color of their skin, and that whiteness being under attack isn't a real thing. And they believe that to varying degrees, of course. And that's just because of how they view the world. And the second part of why this is bad kind of goes along the same point, is that it's a white victim narrative saying it's okay to be white, so therefore it's not okay to be another race. It's not okay to be a person of color, and she talked about that in her interview. So I found a video from demotivatoropinion. He tends to be more liberal. but he kind of had a very neutral point of view on this matter, a little different than usual. He brought up a couple of really, actually, points that I thought were good, very good. He talks about how the context of why the sign was put up is very important. He does say that it does give a message of a white victim narrative, and he disagrees with that. He does kind of give a little disclaimer of like, well, I guess there could be communities in which white people are discriminated against, but he's just not aware of them. He did say that if he saw these signs up in a public place, he would not feel the need to take them down. He was disappointed that they were put up at high schools and such. But yeah, I think overall that was his general message, is that he agrees with the message in and of itself, that it's okay to be anything as far as race. However, he does say that the intent of why those signs were put up is a big point in whether or not it's okay. Now, to go on to answer those questions, in particular, things that I disagree with, as far as being about racism, I mean, I do believe that this is a racism thing, but the point of it was not to say, stop talking about your issues because we feel uncomfortable. It was very much just a proof of concept to show that no matter what is said in favor of whites, even if it's more or less just neutral and true, that it'll be taken as something racial, that people can't say anything positive about white people without being attacked and saying that they're racist and bigots. And from what I can tell, that has happened to a degree, but maybe not as much as they thought it would. The news stations are the ones, and individuals on Twitter are the ones who took to replying so drastically. Now, what I really wanted to talk about is that point that she said at the very end of her interview, is that it's okay to be white, well then it's not okay to be a person of color. I disagree with this greatly, because this goes back to Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, no one who truly is a part of the core of Black Lives Matters is trying to say that no lives matter except for Black Lives Matter. They're simply stating that there's this issue at hand where they're being discriminated against, and their lives matter enough to have this issue taken care of. So, on the same merit that people who were taking the phrase Black Lives Matter to mean that other lives don't matter were taking the intent and perverting it. In the same way that she took the intent of this message and perverted it, that nowhere in it did it say it's not okay to be something else. That was all implied by herself and not by that message. So for her to say that it's wrong, or that she feels attacked, is literally her having just a huge disconnect between the message and what she wanted it to mean, in my opinion. Now, granted, it could have just been, experience that anything positive about white people she's felt attacked with. That happens because of a psychological in-group, out-group thought process. So now to get on to the conservative side. So this was clearly stated in the message of what they were doing and why they were doing it, that it was a proof of concept to show, an attempt to show the media will use any harmless message to claim racism and bigotry. And to a degree, it absolutely worked. The media definitely claimed that it was hatred, it was bigotry. They ran around getting interviews, and I did find a couple of interviews of people who were like, well, that's silly, it doesn't mean anything, it's meaningless, why are you asking? But there weren't that many, there were only a couple. The vast majority of interviews were people claiming that it was hate and bigotry, and that it was meant to hurt other people, and it clearly was not. It was clearly to show how people react to anything neutral or positive about white people. It was to show a narrative in our country, and from the media in particular. And the media definitely took. Aydin Paladin has a great video that I really enjoyed, where she really talks about the white narrative that does exist and its effects on our communities. I'll leave a link to that in the description. My personal and final, my opinion on this is that the proof of concept was not meant to hurt anybody or to cause anybody pain. And anybody who finds pain in this, is reading into something that's not there. They're creating a narrative that was not intended and was not given. And I don't believe those people who posted it are responsible for a poor interpretation based on personal experience of the past. I don't believe this was a hateful or bigoted message. It's true, it's okay to be white. It's just as much as it's okay to be any other race. And I do believe that it shows how media is creating a disconnect between people, and they're encouraging that disconnect instead of having people come together. Well, that was it for today. I hope you all enjoyed it. Feel free to comment and subscribe. Thanks.